Hey everyone, welcome to nearly February 2014. I'm Ashley Wise, in case you don't know who I am, which there's probably a lot of you who don't. I'm the founder of Battling Bear, and Battling Bear has changed a lot since it began in April of 2012. At that point in time, I was a very angry person, a very hurt person, still suffering. And in an attempt to try to get my husband assistance to get better, to be fixed, not to cope, not to better manage, but to be healed of the pain emotionally that haunted him and was manifesting itself throughout his body and self-medication with alcohol, actual physical pain, exhaustion, inability to focus, flashbacks, nightmares, things of that nature. I shared a story with them. And that story was that when we were living in Washington State, Rob and I had been in an argument. And during that time, he was very inebriated. He had been sent home early from his second deployment to Iraq to have a spinal fusion of L4, L5. And he couldn't take the pain medication, the narcotic pain medication, because it would cause him to get really loopy and get migraines. And so he was self-medicating with alcohol a lot, Crown Royal at that point. And he had a flashback where he ended up breaking my nose. He can tell you to the body odor of the Iraqi soldier, the memory that never happened. It was my nose. And I shared that with the police at Fort Campbell, the family advocacy gal at the police station at Fort Campbell. And I also shared that, he had grabbed my arm and yanked me out of the way after coming home from a night that I'd literally kicked him out of the house because I didn't want to handle it anymore. I didn't want to deal with it. It was ridiculous. And they took that information. Instead of getting him assistance, they charged him with domestic assault. Now, there's a lot that goes in with that. And now that I understand, where Nicole was coming from, the family advocacy gal that I spoke with, her job is dependent upon meeting a certain quota of cases for domestic assault or for, whatever, so that she can show that she's doing her job. So understandably, in my situation, it was something where, she was keeping her job. And so I completely have compassion for that. But during that time, Fort Campbell was experiencing suicides on a near daily basis. And I can remember Thursday night at the Wise household is pizza night, and we went to order pizza from Domino's, and they said, just rather nonchalantly, we can't come on base. It's on lockdown again because of a suicide. And it was ridiculous. At that point, my husband was cadre with the Warrior Transition Battalion. And so I had heard stories of the struggles of people, and I'd met quite a few people, all along that were just dealing with crazy situations. And I'm not one to just stand by. So when I was told I was behaving like a typical beaten woman, I took that anger and I fueled it towards something positive, and that is what inspired the shirtless picture with the pledge on the back of it. And I reached out to the Leaf Chronicle, and this is one of the trophies that I have from that actually doesn't hang on my wall anymore. It's not that I don't appreciate everything that happened, but this is the picture from the Clarksville Leaf Chronicle that went viral. But I look at that picture and I see a very angry woman desperately trying to hold on to her marriage. And I was angry, and Rob was still in denial. He didn't even admit that he had PTSD at that point. He didn't even have a diagnosis of PTSD at that point. And here I was all of a sudden, thrust into the limelight as though I was a guru or something, and I had the answers. all the answers that I had was the truth that I wasn't going to cope. I wasn't going to manage. I wasn't going to be stuck in that position, in that situation for the rest of my life. We weren't going to rely on medication. That was a decision that I made whenever I got another trophy. When I was given, this was call it the flag coffin that I was given. But I was handed this flag when I was 21 years old on a very cold January day, much like today, in Napoleon, Missouri. At the age of 21, I had a 13-month-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, and no idea how I was going to raise them. And I just buried my husband. This isn't a trophy that we have on display in the house either. I actually had to go down to the storage area of the barn because, Mitchell he's not the flag. His body's in that coffin, but he's not in the coffin. My husband didn't just die. He was brutally murdered on Christmas Day in 2004. He was shot 7 times at point-blank range with a 9mm handgun by a man who was very sick. And I sat there at the age of 21 and realized that reality and the world was not fair. I'd played the game, I thought, by the proper rules, but I just guess I couldn't be enough of a Proverbs 31 woman or whatever. And at that point, I started searching of what I needed to do to make me good, because I didn't want to repeat the same issues again. And then I got married, and it was like it wasn't the same issues. It was a different set of issues, but it was the same tumultuous stuff. And I realized in the process of studying everything, trying to find answers for all of these emails that came in because of battling bear, that I still hadn't found the answers for myself. And the answers are that reality is what you make it. Your thoughts determine your reality. You can call it the law of attraction. You can call it whatever you want, but this is fact. This is why I've been able to go through a rape and not be a victim. I've been able to go through abusive marriages and not be a victim. Been able to overcome, tumultuous relationships with close family members. And in the process, realize that I really am, that all of these issues and struggling with weight, struggling with money, struggling with all these different things that I've experienced in my life were physical manifestations of the inner conflict that I had within myself. Call it PTSD, call it whatever, call it depression, call it, ADHD. I was afraid. I was afraid of failing. And it was such a weird position to be, because I'd already written myself off as a failure. Because had I done things correctly, had I gone to college and had I had an abortion or given my first child, Michaela, up for adoption, I could have gone to college and, the world was my oyster. Had I just been a better wife and not been separated from Mitchell, he wouldn't have gotten murdered. Had I just kept my mouth shut, I wouldn't be that wife who almost destroyed Rob's career. And in the process of everything, Rob and I decided, we almost divorced several times since 2012, whenever Battling Bear started, because it was like Battling Bear put a magnifying glass on everything that was wrong with each of us, but we were blaming it on the other person. And we realized that we had asked what kept us together. We were too stubborn. We didn't want to be the first quitter a lot of the time, but we realized that we really do love each other. And that it wasn't like, and that marriage is about problem solving. It's about conflict resolution, but it's not focusing on the problems. It's focusing on, we actually call them challenges now. It's focusing on the next dream that you're working towards. It's focusing on your vision and where you're going so that you have a goal in mind. So with all of that being said, Battling Bear has been at the standstill for 6 to 7 months now, because almost a year, because I'm not interested in helping you cope. I'm not interested in helping you manage. I'm interested in helping you get better. And those are the types of people that I want on this team to move this organization forward, to help raise money for other organizations that do a fantastic job with getting you away, like Wounded Warriors Weekend. And in the process, I want to show you that you really are a worthwhile person, worthy of all of your dreams and so much more, that you are much more than you have. You are much bigger and more powerful, more amazing inside of you than you've ever given yourself credit for. Crucify me for that if you want, but I am not interested in helping you cope or helping you manage your issues. I am interested and passionate about helping you heal. And if you'll let me, I can show you how. I can't fix you. I can't do your push-ups for you, but I can certainly help you and give you the tools to show you how to live your dreams and to be more than you've ever thought that you possibly could be. So with that being said, love with passion, live with peace, and dare to dream, for you are worthy of everything you imagine and so much more. I love you all.